Hey everybody. Um I'm going to give you guys the fundamentals for the whole week. And I'm going to tell you guys what I expect for the whole week. And if anything changes or if news comes up that I feel like you guys need to know about that we would have gone over on a Zoom call, then I'll send that out in the group. But other than that, I'm not going to actually try to have an individual Zoom call on Wednesday or on Friday. On Friday, what I will do is just post a fundamental overview. Should things change or should jobs numbers come out on Friday and be a little bit different than what we talk about tonight? Um, but yeah, other than that, don't expect any other Zoom calls this week. Just look for updates in the group chat. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen and we will go over this week. So today I asked in the group chat this morning, and I don't know if you guys were just busy or if you just didn't know what I was alluding to, but I asked what's today. So today is two things. We had a US holiday today, Memorial Day. But then today is also the 100-year anniversary of Tulsa. So um I bring that up for several different reasons. Um Many of which we will talk about at the end of the week. But I wanted to tell you guys what I was alluding to when I asked you guys what's today in the group chat. So the main thing for today's that today was a US holiday, bank holiday, banks were closed. Expect that the markets will start ramping up now. Essentially, it's the beginning of Asian session. So the markets are going to start ramping up now because the markets were closed for the US today, going into London session. And then the US banks get to essentially pick up and catch up, from missing a whole bank day or missing a whole business day. They'll get to catch up on all of that tomorrow. So London session will for sure kick that off because of the exchange of monies that happen between the US and London session at 1 o'clock in the morning. That will definitely be a very important time to just be paying attention to the market, since the reason why London session is so important. But for tomorrow in the morning at 12:30, we have Australian news that's coming out. So it will be the Australian bank rate news. And I don't suspect that the Bank of Australia or the Royal Bank of Australia is going to be changing their rate for reasons I've gone over before. Um, we got to wait and see with rates, and it's too early to really change them right now. The next big thing that's coming out tomorrow, yeah, we have manufacturing news for Germany coming out, but that's not the most important thing that I'm looking at. The biggest thing I'm looking at tomorrow is going to be OPEC news. I'm really going to be looking at OPEC news because remember, when you look at OPEC and you see JMMC, this means that non-OPEC members are actually participating in this meeting. They're going to be there. They're going to have a say in OPEC operations. The big reason why this meeting is going to be so important is because now you have China and Russia really shifting their weight during these meetings. And China has, formed all of these partnerships with Iran on so many different levels, not just oil, but with their nuclear program and with trade deals. So China is going elsewhere to try to undercut and undermine, what the US and what Canada is trying to do. So this is going to be really important. It's also going to be important because we want to hear what the output and what the production expectations are going to be for all of these non-OPEC countries, and then what the OPEC countries are going to actually say for their production. Because remember, for the most part, these countries set the price of oil around the world. Um, a lot of people might say that they don't, but they do, because when you look at the underlying fundamentals of how OPEC works, why it works the way that it does, there are a lot of industries, especially here in the United States, that depend on oil from these countries. even if it's not from the Middle East, if we're getting oil from Venezuela, well, that's an OPEC country. So even if it's Angola or, it doesn't have to be the Middle East. If it's an African country, it's still an OPEC country. So OPEC still has a lot of say in our pricing. So we definitely have to pay attention to these OPEC meetings, especially going into the summer, because if they start talking about cutting production going into the summer, this is our first major travel holiday we just had today. So if they start talking about cutting production, you can only expect oil and gas prices to move higher going through the summer. We typically see a rise in the summer anyway due to higher travel, more flights, more activities, more transports being done with businesses during the summer. So it's already a busy time for the oil market, and cutting production in OPEC's quote unquote strategic way is just going to help them to drive prices to where they want them to go, hence making up for the loss that they had last year. It's funny that OPEC news is coming out all day tomorrow when Canada has their GDP news coming out tomorrow. That's going to be super important because it kind of goes hand in hand. Um, if you have never heard me talk about the correlation of oil and Canada, I talked about it at the beginning of the year on one of the Zoom calls, like in the first week or two of the year. There is a strong, like heavy correlation with Canada and the oil market. So when we look at their GDP news, we're definitely going to be looking at oil. We're going to be listening for what OPEC says, because that's also going to help us to determine where the Canadian economy is going to be going over the next quarter, because the next quarter will essentially cover the summer months. ISM manufacturing news is coming out tomorrow. That typically comes out on the Wednesday or the Tuesday before NFP. This time we're getting it on Tuesday. So that's going to be important because manufacturing, that helps us to drive and sustain our economy here in the United States. We get a speech from the Bank of England governor in the UK at 11 o'clock. We get a speech from the FOMC member at 2, and then we get Australian GDP news at 9:30 on tomorrow night. Wednesday, we have an Italian holiday, which won't really affect the euro all that much because the Italian bank is a relatively small bank when it comes to Italy. But if you're trading stocks and it's something that's on that exchange or on an Italian exchange, just be aware of that. We have an Australian bank official that's going to be speaking on Wednesday, and then retail sales for Australia. So all of these news items that are coming out for Australia are going to be super important. So AUD USD this week is going to be a pair. If you trade it, keep your eyes on it, because there's lots of news coming out that's going to really help to show how the Australian economy is growing and how it's sustaining itself since the height of the outbreak of COVID. Thursday, typically we would get this ADP news, the independent jobs numbers. We would typically get that on Wednesday. We're not getting it on Wednesday. We're getting it on Thursday now. So if you go back to Zoom calls from last week, that news item was on Wednesday. Now it is on Thursday. We get that news and unemployment claims within 15 minutes of each other. Please do not be in the market after Wednesday, because if you're in the market after Wednesday, I promise you, you will not be happy with yourself. I don't care how well you have done so far. I don't care how well you've done in your demo account. I am telling you, because it's NFP and you're getting 5-ish heavy news items on Thursday from the United States, and then you have NFP on Friday. So don't do it to yourself. Just trade in your demo account if you have to do anything. But I would definitely tell you, because they have added and switched things around for this week. Just make sure that you're very vigilant in the marketplace after Wednesday, and don't be live trading your money, because preliminary numbers at 8:15, jobs numbers at 8:30. Then we have ISM services numbers at 10 o'clock. Crude oil numbers come out at 11. And then we have two Fed speeches. Even though they are yellow, they are regional Fed members who have lots of influence and lots of say in the marketplace. So pay attention to those speeches. Another minor news item that's not really orange or red, but we still are going to pay attention to it, is the Challenger job cuts year over year. So essentially an independent job number of job cuts. So that's going to help us to see, of those jobs that we look at, we see employment change, how many of those were true job cuts? How many of those jobs were people going from part-time to no job, or full-time to part-time? So Thursday is just full of, hidden things that we're definitely going to pay attention to. And then Friday looks like a cluster because they switched things around. They added a meeting. We got every Fed official, every bank, every central bank head, president, chair, whatever you want to call them, is speaking on Friday. So do not be in the market on Friday, because I promise you will get your head chopped off. I'm not even trading this week, to be honest with you. I'm not even trading this week because tomorrow's Tuesday. It's the very first day that US banks are getting back into the market. Wednesday is, market consolidation day, typically on an NFP week. Thursday is a lot of news. And then Friday, you have every Fed official speaking. Like literally every major currency on this planet, their leader is speaking. It starts at 3 o'clock in the morning. You got one from the Swiss franc, one from the New Zealand dollar. Then you get G7 meetings. Then you get Christine Lagarde speaking, Jerome Powell is speaking, but they're speaking, all of the bank officials, aside from G7, are speaking at this independent conference. And it's central bank officials and climate change. So Bitcoin is going to come up. Cryptocurrencies are going to come up. How does the Fed intend to build a digital bank back, digital central bank back digital currency and not affect the climate? How do they plan to do all of these things and, not cause sustained harm? All that's going to come up, and that's coming up out at 7. And then we're turning around at 8:30 and we're getting NFP coming out. Not only NFP for the United States, but we're getting NFP from Canada as well at the same time. So what am I expecting from the United States when it comes to our jobs numbers? Well, the expectation for economic growth would be that we have an increase of average hourly earnings, because we have had several companies come out and say that they were going to pay a $15 minimum wage or $15 an hour start for some of their employees. So we'll definitely pay attention to that. As far as the job change, we definitely want to create jobs. We don't want to lose jobs at this point in time. We are going into the summer, and there are reports that jobs are having a hard time getting people. So we want to definitely pay attention to how many people are actually trying to actively be in and participate in the job market. And then if we do have positive employment change, then we should have our unemployment rate drop. So the goal is over time to get our unemployment rate back to pre-COVID levels. So we want to see, it probably won't happen by the end of the year, but by the end of 2022, the beginning of 2023, our unemployment rate be in the low 4% to maybe high 3% range. So those are things we're going to be paying attention to. And then also going into the weekend is G7. So this week, if you look at, how the Forex factory calendar looked last week, on the Zoom calls and you look at it now, there are things that have changed. There are things that have added. So make sure that you're paying attention, make sure you're vigilant, make sure you're aware on Friday, Thursday and Friday of things that are going on. And then also for those of you who are into cryptocurrencies and tucking your money away, I want you to really know and understand like what you're doing. Like there's nothing wrong with taking advice or the leadership of someone when it comes to cryptocurrencies, but you need to know for yourself who, what, when, where, why, and how. So if I say Michael Sue to any of you guys on this Zoom call, you should all know who he is. I don't know how many of you actually know who Michael Sue is, but Michael Sue is the interim currency comptroller for the United States. He was appointed by Janet Yellen. And at this point, he has given several testimonies to Congress. He's given several, not so much speeches, but interviews. I can say it like that, interviews, where he has talked about his plan for currencies. He's talked about his plan for crypto, and he's talked about lately his plan for regulation. So every now and then, I need for you guys just to go through, just if you're watching something on TV, just hit the guide button and just scroll through till you get to C-SPAN and just see what's on. You don't have to watch it, just see what's on, because a lot of times while you were at work, there was something on that might be beneficial to you or your family, something that's going to be really important to, how you might trade or think or make a decision for yourself or family long term. Michael Sue's talked heavily about his regulation of crypto and how he actually plans to do it. I implore you guys to go out and do your research and know who owns your wallets. Like, the apps you use for your wallets, like know who owns them, know what company owns them. Like, is it a company that should, if they should regulate, is it a company that you're going to be able to easily get your money out of? Is it a company that the US already has regulation over and you don't know it? Like, for instance, Trust Wallet, just to give you an example, because he gave the example. Hint, hint, I'm telling you, he gave the example to Congress. Trust Wallet is owned by Binance. They have regulation over Binance already. So whenever they start talking about regulation, Binance is a company out of, they have a headquarters and they're registered in San Francisco. So if you're listening to the news and the California government starts talking about regulating cryptocurrency, and you know that Binance has a headquarters there and Binance owns Trust Wallet, then you know what to do. I just need for you guys to know those steps, because me and Mr. Levels can't be there for you all the time to tell you everything, because there's so many different wallets and there's so many different places to have and put your money. Just know, like, those things are coming down the pipeline, because he's testified in front of Congress or gave an interview about this 4 times already in the last 2 weeks. So I'm just letting you know, like, they're talking heavily about it. So I just want you guys to pay attention, be vigilant. I'm not saying do anything. I'm just want you guys to be vigilant. I want you guys to know your stuff. Like, if I ask you, where is your wallet headquartered? Who owns it? What company owns it? Like, where is that company? Like, you should know those things, because that's your money that you're putting into these companies. Even though it's a wallet, somebody has to own the wallet. A company has to have made the wallet or put the technology out there. So know those things. Do your research for those. This week, over the weekend, going into, the summer, we're kind of ramping up for the summer and the end of the year when it comes to cryptos. I just want you guys to be prepared. I want you guys to be knowledgeable. I want you guys to be able to talk your stuff when it comes to crypto. Don't just do it because you see somebody else doing it. Like, know your stuff. Know it just like you know your charts and you know your trades and everything else. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Level so that he can get started with his technicals for tonight and the week. And if you have any questions, just put them in the chat or in the group chat.
Woo! Woo! That's what I'm talking about. I know who do know they stuff. KMentals know her stuff. Yes, sir. Yeah, yeah. Let's jump into these technicals. Appreciate that, Carmen. Great job, great information as always. For sure. All right, cool beans. Let's look at it. As always, starting with the dollar, because we know the dollar give us a outlook of the currency pairs that we trade, euro, GBP USD, NZD USD. And so we know that our currency pairs move in the opposite direction of the dollar, so we use the dollar to gauge the market. Um, so with that being said, last week we wanted to see this up move, wanted to see this structure and this level here, which was a previous level of imbalance, turned into a level of structure. I wanted to see price come back up and retest that. We've seen a good attempt to come back and retest that structure, but we didn't quite make it there. But we did get a good move to the upside off of this structure. That's what we wanted to see last week. So our currency pairs gave us the down move last week that we wanted to see. So now to start this week out with, I'm interested to see if the dollar can break above this little structure that it just created here, and come back up to retest here, to retest this structure that we have here. Um, Basically, we're just following price action. We seen the break up, the retest of structure, the bullish move, and then we seen the push back down, the break back through this structure that it just created, showing us that it's a possibility that the dollar could keep pushing to the downside. So now we have to follow price action. So now we have to expect for price to come back, push back up and retest this structure. If it's going to continue to the downside, we should expect for it to push back up and retest this structure and then continue to the downside. Um, However, if we cannot even break back above this structure, then we know that we're looking for the dollar to target these previous lows and potentially um, come back down to retest these future prices that Carmen gave us week before last. So we'll see how that play out. But to start the week, I am expecting for the dollar to give us some bullish momentum to come back and retest previous structure. So with that being said, let's look at our currency pairs. Um, so we know if we're expecting the dollar to start out bullish for the week, we're expecting our currency pairs to start out bearish. You can see the imbalance here. You can see this structure here that we will be looking for Euro USD to come back and retest. Um, and if the dollar do in fact pushes up, retests that structure and respects that structure and continues to the downside, then we will see Euro USD push down, retest this structure, and continue to push to the upside. So that's what I will be expecting from Euro USD to start the week out with. Same thing with GBP USD. We will look for price to come down, filling this imbalance. Um, may not come all the way back down and fill in this balance. We may just come here in the middle somewhere and then push to the upside. So let me see something. Yeah. No. Yeah. So we can see price. GDP look a little funny. Give us some action. Give us some price action. Kind of like that. But of course, we know we'll wait on time and price to give us the setup and the confirmation. I don't like the way NZD look, but I will be expecting it to come on back down. I do see this imbalance here. So, let's see some. Yeah. So, yeah, we could see NZD come down to fill in this imbalance here. And then push up. Come back and take out this liquidity. So that's what I'd be expecting out our currency pairs to start the week out with. Looking at silver, got to see if silver can break through this structure before it comes back down to fill in this imbalance. But we could see that happen throughout the rest of Tokyo session through the night, and we could see price reach down by London market open at 3 a.m. and then um, give us a retest of this structure right here within this imbalance and then push to the upside for London opening. So let's just see if that plays out. Finally get up in now. But like I said, we got to break below here to begin with. So keep your eyes on silver. If you're a silver trader, um, looking at gold, mm-hmm. Okay. I don't like the way gold look. Gold look, she she just look funky. I don't know. Um, mm, she looking real bullish right now, man. And gold could just fall through the floor and then push back up. That'll be a big drop too. Um, I don't think it's gonna drop back down to 1861. But it's a nice little area of imbalance right there. Let's just see. Let's just see. I'm not trading gold. Y'all know I don't. I used to love to trade gold, but I don't really trade gold like that no more. Unless I see something that's like a no-brainer. But yeah, I don't even really look at gold like that, except for on class. So, um, she just looks so. Mm, all right. Just show you what see that imbalance right there. Let's just see. Yeah. Yeah. That look about like how gold move anyway. She'll love to make a move like that. So let's just see. Yeah. Yeah. Want to see this high taken out right here. Want to see price action target this previous high. So let's see if we reach down throughout the rest of Tokyo markets tonight and then London market open. We should be done made our way down here by then and then see if London markets gives us that push to the upside to run this previous high and yeah, keep pushing or come back down. Regardless, we're looking to target this high. So time and price will tell it all. Quick look at oil. Yeah, we seen oil give us that push off of $61. We already knew that oil was gonna go up with the situation we had with the pipeline hacking and everything. So um, we seen the shortage come and then we see the rise in price and price should keep rising. I told you guys on earlier call that the price targets that I was targeting was 70 something dollars and 100 something dollar previous highs. Yep. $76. Yeah. um I don't know if we're gonna get back up here to 150, 147. Um, but I definitely, man, we could get back up there. But I definitely want to see 107 retested. And as you can see, we're on the weekly time frame. But as you can see, you don't see nothing but bullish momentum right there. This weekly candle that just opened up for today, this week, showing it's very bullish. It's pushing. So if that thing pop, we definitely can see $76 achieved within the next week or two. Um, and then from yeah, mm-hmm. Then from 70, what was that, 76 on up to like 92 or something. And then on up and on up and on up. So keep your eyes on on oil. Now looking at U30. All right. So looking back at last week, we got this move. We got the down move that we was looking for. Down move here. Multiple opportunities here. This was the target. This imbalance down here. We achieved that multiple times. We seen the price make this last bearish run, that squeeze out that we call it, the squeeze out before the bullish run. This is to get all of the early buyers out of the market, all the people that bought here, bought here, bought here, this right here was to take them on out. And then we seen price run away. We see price break up, give us this retest, give us an opportunity right here to run. So we see price now showing bullish momentum. We had this bullish run up, price corrected, came back down to retest this structure here. If I take and move this here, you can see the structure right here. Beautiful structure. Price came back down, retested it. Perfect. Pop back up, consolidated, and we see price opened up and came back down to retest structure again, and now we see price pushing away. So as we see price going bullish now off of structure, we have to see if price is going to respect this structure. If price do indeed respect this structure, we could see euro, I'm sorry, U30 come back down and retest this structure one more time, or maybe not all the way down to retest structure, but as you can see, this imbalance that we have right here, have a big space of imbalance right here that was just created. Um, we could very well see U30 mm-hmm, come back down in here and then run last week's highs, because this would be last week's high. So if price action is going to reach for last week highs, we could see price action reach back for last week's lows, which would be this big liquidity pool that we have right here. This low, we see price sold off and then ran away. So we know we have a big pool of liquidity here. We could see price reach for those lows, for last week's low. So, but of course, we know we have to wait for time and price to give us our setup and our confirmation. So that is what I will be expecting to see out of Euro USD to start the week and maybe for the entire week. But we know we're out of the markets by Tuesday, um, definitely no later than Wednesday. So keep in mind with the heavy news week that we have this week, keep in mind fundamentals. Corman has already given you guys the game, the game plan for this week as far as fundamentals and everything that's going on in the markets with the news. Heavy news week. Please don't play. Please don't play with news. Please. That's all I can say. At this time, I'll start the recording and taking the questions.